What is up? It's your boy jonni.shreve. I am BB Promos and Tell Like It Is, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast Uncut. I wanted to collaborate for so long with these two gentlemen that I got to have on my channel, guys, that I said I would get more guests on here. I said I would do it, but people got things to do. People got lives. So before we get started, guys, make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so next time I put a video, be the first ones to get it. Also, head down in the description there below, guys, and make sure you guys hit those promo codes and links that will help change your life for better or save it. So enjoy, guys. Mike Van Wyck.
Right when you lift up your contact back. Open. Sit up. Flex out of there.
Recording in progress. So you're on now, so everything you say will be held against you.
Correct.
In the court of YouTube.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
right.
I'm ready. I'm ready to put my foot in my mouth. So let's do it.
What do you mean? What do you think I'm gonna do?
I'm just kidding. I would do it to myself. I would. You would do anything.
I'll edit all this after. I promise. I'll edit everything we do wrong.
Yeah. What happened? What happened to that 5 minutes we took? No, don't worry about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Mike, when you turn pro?
In 2009 at the Nationals in Vancouver. They were in Vancouver that year.
2009.
Yeah.
Who did you beat?
It was me. The only people in the super heavies are me and Ron Partlow and another guy. I forget his name.
Wow.
I don't know why I forgot it. But then it was in the overall, it was Mark Richmond. Mark Richmond won the heavies.
Yeah.
And I want to say, I don't know who won the lower divisions, but there was I didn't think I won. Like I was like, oh, I guess they're gonna, like, you know what I mean? Like, because it was my first nationals, right? And you always secure like no one goes their first time and like, you know what I mean? Like I was just like, when they called my name and I beat Ron, because that was like my whole goal going into it. It wasn't like, oh, I'm going to turn pro. And I was like, man, I just want to see if I can give Ron a run for his money. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And like, see how I do. And then come back next year, like with a understanding of what it takes. And like, so when they called me name of that, I already won the show in my mind. I was like, ah, fuck, that's great. Whatever. I'm like, I went to the overall. I was like, whatever, I'm not going to fucking, I mean, like, it's just like, it's not going to happen. And then when they called my name, I was literally like, it was like one of those moments where you like kind of go like, it's like everything went silent or something. Like,
yeah.
And I just saw, like, I remember looking out in the crowd because I had like one row in the seats where it was like my mom and like a few people I knew came out, and I just saw their hands go up, and I was like, I remember I kind of looked to the side and I was like, what? Like, and I was like, what the fuck? Like,
you're a pro.
Yeah, I was like, what the fuck? I wasn't prepared at all. I was like, in my mind, it was like after they called me, like I won the supers, in my mind, I was like, okay, well, next year I got to come in, like, I'll be ready. I was like,
that's awesome.
But it worked out.
So you had, so it was, when is Ben Carlson? Was he 2008?
Yeah, I think it was the year right before me.
Yeah, and then 2010 was Santana, wasn't it?
It was. When was Mike Johnson?
I think it was Santana Anderson, 2010, 2011, Mike Johnson.
Oh, okay.
2012.
I knew they were like interchanged. Like one of them was right before the other.
Yeah.
Vice versa.
And I think.
Yeah, I think it was Santana. Yeah.
Yeah, and then Mike Johnson, and then Antoine and Greg. Then after that, it was Henry Pierre, and
Jerome won in 2011.
Jerome won. Was it 11? No.
11, 12. One of the two.
12 was 11.
12.
Oh, no, 2013.
Oh, okay.
No. Sorry. 13 was Henry Pierre, King, Chris Wong, and Zane. Year after that was Jerome.
Yeah, me and Jerome were at all those, and we shit the bed on a few of them, and then we finally won. So I remember like they're all like in my mind, they're kind of blended together.
Clustered,
like, yeah. But it was in Montreal, wherever Montreal show the year that was. It was a Montreal show. He won the Montreal one.
So then, how many shows did you have? Like
after I turned pro, I did I wanted to go into like a bigger show when I first turned pro, because like because you turn pro, like everyone's like, they kind of recommend like, go start at like a lower level and like, you know what I mean, like kind of get your feet wet, like don't step on stage with like these fucking names, you know what I mean, which is like, in hindsight, I definitely should have listened to that, but I didn't. And I went to fucking I was like, no, I want to do New York Pro. And so I was like, I mean, like,
you were,
because I was like,
you're big though, like you weren't like You were one
No,
of the
but I mean,
biggest, you were one of the bigger, you could hang with the big guys, like, you were one of the bigger pros that came out of
yeah,
Canada.
but like as just as well as I do, there's a difference in like big guy and bodybuilding big.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, I'm a big guy, but like, I'm not like packed like all these other guys that are like this packed, like dense muscle. You know what I mean? I'm kind of spread out and still filling out this frame, right? So,
yeah.
I mean, I train with Darren for that. I train with Darren for every show, but he ended up, I think like 2 weeks out, he was like outside the gym. He literally stepped off the curb and like blew his knee out. He went to step out and he wasn't paying attention. It was like uneven and he just kind of like cranked his knee. And I'm like, and then he called me. He's like, yeah, I got to get surgery on my knee. I'm like, he's like, I can't go to New York. And I was like, when you're that deep in prep, you're like, I'm fucking going regardless. I don't give a shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he put me with a friend of his named Johnny, who was like, he would always like kind of bounce ideas off Johnny. And they kind of had like both had input on what I was doing all the time.
Yeah.
He's actually from Montreal. And I mean, he just did the best he could with what, I mean, he's not, he's coming in and kind of being like a substitute teacher. Like, what the fuck am I doing here? Like, I don't know this guy, but I know this guy, but I don't know this guy. Like, you know what I mean? So his whole thing was like, they wanted me to be like full, like packed, like to the fucking max, like just blown out. Right. So like they're feeding me, but they don't know that like after a while, like I'm not a big guy who can eat a ton of food. Like I just eat, like I eat consistently, but I don't eat tons of food. Right.
Yeah.
So he was like packing this food into me and I was just getting more bloated and more bloated. And I was just like, oh my God. So doing that on top of like whatever diuretic we did, it wasn't like a drastic diuretic. I think it was like Aldactone or something we were doing. Stupid. And like literally like showed up to the show and I was dry, like I was lean, but I was just like my stomach was so distended because I couldn't assimilate all this food, right? And I remember like vividly, like when they called us out to like when they first like call you out by like numerical order, and you just do like your little whatever, and you fucking get out of the way. Yeah, I remember I lifted up for a front double, and it felt like my abdomen like ripped because I was like it was cramping so bad, like it was like pulling me back down. And I was like, oh, like I was like, this is not a good fucking start. And I'm like backstage, like in the pump up room with like Dennis Wolf and Rolly like won that show, probably looked the best he's ever looked. Yeah. I love fucking Rolly Winkler when he was like when he first came on, man. Like I was backstage with that guy, I was like, what the fuck is that? Like this dude's face was so sunken in that he was like begging that woman who used to train him.
His grandma.
Yeah, he was begging her for water, like give me water. She's like, no. And he's like he was chewing on his own, like just trying to get saliva, right? Like, but he was just fucking shredded, and like the arms, like everything was just so blown out. And I was like, man, like that's what it should be. I think not what I am.
I think he looked the best that when he was with grandma, to be honest.
Oh yeah, like when he first, like I was like literally standing backstage, just between him and Dennis Wolf, I was just looking around like, the fuck am I doing here? Why I should have done another show. Yeah. But it was cool, man. It was like really, because I'm the type of person I'd really like to like, I'd rather see what that is and know like where I have to go than to like fool myself and like, I do well at like this lesser show. And then I like think I get my fucking confidence up and I go up and get stepped on by like, you know what I mean? I'd rather just see it. That's how it was when I played football. You played football too, right?
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah.
Like I had no business. I was a bigger kid, so I was on the senior. They put me on the senior team because I was like in high school. I was like 245. Like I was playing like running back, like fullback. Yeah. And then I was playing like also defense. So I was playing like linebacker. And like the first game I played on senior, I just got fucking annihilated. Like I got ear holed by this dude. Fucking stood over me like, what motherfucker? And I'm like, oh. I mean, I was like, maybe I should get my ass back down to fucking junior and chill the fuck out. Like, so it was just kind of like that same experience, but in bodybuilding. And I was I did the next year I came back, I did the Toronto Pro the year after that, 2011. And I got food poisoning so bad. Like the fucking, I felt good. Like everything was good. And then the person who was helping me to the end dieting, because I was kind of taking advice from, that's kind of why I tell people on videos, just listen to one voice. Yeah. I was like doing the stupid mistake of like listening to a guy, but listening to another fucking guy. And like, and so he's like, oh, go have a cheat meal. Like you need to, you're too depleted. Like, let's fill up. He's like, grab a burger and whatever. And I'm like, all right, like you're not going to have to convince me to do that. Like, no, not I'm halfway out the door when as soon as you say burger. But he's like, so I went and grabbed it from some random, I think it was like in the hotel, or it was like down the street. I just grabbed a burger, takeout, and I came back to a room and I was eating it. And it just like, I've been into it, and like, you know, when you haven't had certain foods in a while, like your texture's off.
Yeah,
like you just don't like, and it doesn't feel.
Yeah.
So I've been into the burger, I had like a couple bites, and it just felt like rubbery and like weird. And I was like, yeah, so I just tossed it. I was like, fuck, I might even eat that. Like, and so I started feeling like a little weird in my stomach. I'm like, maybe it's just because I haven't had this shit, and I had some fries too. So I'm like, maybe there's the fats fucking with me or the grease.
Fuck.
So then I literally laid down, and I probably fell asleep for like 3 hours. I woke up, dude, and the room was spinning. Like I was literally on like a merry-go-round.
Yeah.
And I get up to walk and I like crash into the chair. And I ended up going to the bathroom and like just throwing up like probably 9 times. Fuck. And I was just like, I like knew then. I'm like, and I was already on diuretics. So I'm like, now I'm fucked.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, fuck.
Like I literally called Darren, who's in the hotel. I'm like, you got to come down. I told him what happened. And he came down, like, he's like, you're fucking shredded. It was a good thing. I'm like, no, it wasn't bad. I'm like, I don't feel good, man. Like I feel fucked up. He's like, yeah, but let's just not eat and like just see how it goes. Like you look fucking shredded. And I'm like, okay, man. And I fucking willed myself to prejudging. I think I got like second call out.
Yeah.
And I was just like, you know, like your electrolytes and all that shit. I don't know if you've ever had like a scare like that. Hopefully you haven't, but like you just feel like you just know, like everyone's looking at you and they think you're good, but inside, like you're having like anxiety attacks.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? Like,
yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, and then the next day I was trying to eat, and I was taking like some Carbolin, just trying to get liquid into me and like fill my carbs back up. And like, I was just trying to eat, but like eating one bite of something felt like I was chewing like concrete. Like I was like,
yeah,
like, fuck, man. And I'd swallow it. And it's like, I could feel it just sitting in my stomach. Like I was like, what the fuck? So the next day I'm trying to feel better because we're getting ready for the night show. And I was like walking down the hallway in the hotel, and literally my heart was like, tick, 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 and I was like, ugh.
Oh,
and I'm like,
fuck.
what the fuck? And they're like, what's wrong? Like my ex-girlfriend at the time, she's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, I don't know, man. I'm like, my heart just like palpitated, like it fluttered like really drastically. Like, and she's like, oh, well, take it easy. And I'm like, it kept happening. I'm like,
take it easy.
Yeah. And I was like, fucking, they're like, okay, you gotta go get tanned. And the girl who was tanning, she was working with Protan or whoever it was, I knew her well. Like I knew her as a friend. And she's like, and I was literally standing there, and like, I didn't realize I was doing this. I thought I was like perfectly normal, but apparently I was standing like this, like I had my eyes closed, but I thought they were open. And she's like, look, there's like, oh, are you all right? And I'm like, yeah. She's like, you don't look all right. I'm like, all right. So I went and laid down on the convention center floor, like in Toronto. And I just had no energy. Like I literally couldn't get up.
Yeah.
And then like stupid me, like all I probably needed was a bunch of salt, like just at least probably not make me look any better, but to feel better. I would have been good if I just got some salt into me and a bunch of electrolytes. But back then I'm like, no, salt's my enemy. I can't. And literally I remember John Natashak or Hadashak, I forget how do you say his name. He was one of the judges, and he happened to be with Animal back in the day. I was still with Animal at this time.
Yeah.
And he walked by me and he's like, yo, brother, he's like, you got to just like get some salt packets and just down them and drink some water. And I'm like, no. But like, so literally one of the event people walked by and was like, is he all right? And blah, blah, blah. And then she took it upon herself because she like saw I was fucked up, and she called an ambulance for me. And I was like, so they come in and I don't even know what's going on. I'm like, what are you doing here? They're like, you got to come with us, man. These people are worried about you. I'm like, oh, and they brought a stretcher. I'm like, get that fucking thing out of here. I'm like, I'm like, I'll walk out to the fucking thing, man. Like,
I gotta go on stage. Fuck.
Yeah. And then so like, I'm like, all right. So I just basically like submitted to the fact or whatever. I literally got to the hospital and they put an IV in me. I was like out cold for like 4 hours. I just passed the fuck out. Like,
yeah.
It was the second time that happened to me. It happened to me earlier in my career too.
Wow.
It's terrifying when that shit happens, man.
Yeah, you're funny. It's like you're like I don't know if that's ever happened to you before. I'm like, so I was supposed to compete the Tampa Pro this year.
Oh yeah,
and I'm gonna say I would have won 100%. I don't give a fuck. I sucked my down at 212. Held it. And that's when I was like, it was like a couple weeks, it was a month after. Anyway, I caught a fucking virus. Like, so Saturday, I get my hair cut at my friend's house. Mm-hmm. And I think it was, I don't know what the fuck it was. I think it might have been like some vegetable, something, whatever the fuck it was. And I ate whatever. And then I'm at my friend's getting my hair done. And I'm kind of like, oh, I feel fucking weird. Like, you know, I went kind of like a little bit of like a kind of heaved a bit, but didn't throw up. I'm like, maybe it's because electrolytes or, you know, stims or whatever. Next day I'll go to Greg's, check me out. I'm like, I'm like, man, and he looks at me, he's like, man, you don't feel look good. I'm like, yeah, I think it's just like maybe it's just the stems. I don't know. Fuck.
Yeah.
Then I'm supposed to talk to Fuad on his channel. We end up interviewing. I puke. As soon as I'm done, I literally end up puking. I puked on the day before. And then for only once or twice, like once, no, it was once. And then Monday, I started puking. And then I started puking more. And then it was like puking, and then like I couldn't even like think, and then diarrhea. It was diarrhea, puke, diarrhea. Long story short, I ended up on my way out of the door on Tuesday to catch my plane. Yeah. I'm like, I can, I puked whatever once Monday. I'm like, yo, you know what? If I'll probably feel good, it's probably like a 24-hour flu, whatever, I'm good. I'll be good the next day. I wake up, I'm packing my stuff, about to leave, and my heart starts going cook, cook, cook. And I'm like, I don't feel like, I tell my wife, I'm like, hey, I don't feel too well. And I just collapse. I fall over. I wake up to her shaking me. I come to, and then puke, crap, puke, crap, puke, crap. Hospital. I'm in the hospital. I'm like sitting there, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? There's no way. I'm literally thinking like I can maybe catch my plane on Wednesday, whatever. I ended up going back to the hospital two days in a row. I ended up getting like the last day I was rushed to the hospital. It was like Thursday morning. It was like Wednesday night, 12 o'clock. I had like 4 IVs in me within an hour. It was fucked. Yeah. And that was it. And I couldn't compete. And I was like, all right, well, it's but I was in fucking great shape, man. I was ready.
That should happen. It happened to me earlier on, like 2007-ish. I was like, I don't know if you remember, but like in Ontario, they used to have, I might have been everywhere too. They had the level system where it was like level 1, level 2, and then level 3 was provincial. So you had to qualify at each level to get to the next level, right? So I was trying to do that all in 1 year. Like when I first moved back to Toronto, right? So I was like, I did the level 1 and I won the overall. I did the level 2. I got beat by this fucking guy in Sudbury who had the show was fucking rigged, and I don't care what anyone says. Like the dude was telling his family he won before the night show started. Like he was like, "Oh yeah, Daddy's gonna win. Come up on the stage and give him a hug when he wins the second trophy, not the first one." I'm like, so whatever. They knew they fucked me there. So then I was like, oh, I was talking with Darren. I'm like, I want to do the provincials. Everything was 2 weeks apart, right?
Yeah.
So he's like, okay, well, if you're gonna do Ontario's, we gotta get you dialed in. You gotta be fucking like shredded. So he's like, it was this whole like thing of like starting the diuretics earlier and like going no carb and like depleting hard and all this stuff, right? So I was like, Jesus. I was trying to like pound this in this detail, like by like fucking killing myself. And by the end of like the first week went okay because it wasn't that bad. Then we started ramping up, and by the Wednesday of that week, I was like, you talk about like not feeling right. Like I was like sitting in my apartment at the time with my ex-girlfriend. I was literally like, every time I closed my eyes, I was convinced I was gonna die. Like my mind was fucked. Like I was like, ugh. And I try and sleep, and I just lay there staring at the ceiling. I was like out on the balcony, like staring, but I looked in the mirror. I'm like, oh, you look shredded. It's cool, man. I'm like, fuck. I'm like trying to like convince myself it's gonna be like I'm just gonna snap out of this, and then finally, I just looked at her. I'm like, listen, you got to take me to the hospital. Like, I can't even walk right now. My knees are like jello. And so I remember she drove me to the hospital, and it felt like we were floating the whole time. I couldn't feel the car. I couldn't feel the wheels on the road. Like I was just floating. And we got there, and they tested me like, fuck, your sodium levels are completely bottomed out. So they fucking jacked my sodium. Wow. When my sodium went up, they didn't do the appropriate potassium, and my potassium dropped. I literally couldn't push myself to get out of the bed. Wow. I had no muscle contraction. Wow. And then they're bringing me the sodium, they're drinking, making me pop this shit. Like every half hour, I'm drinking this potassium shit to get myself back up. Wow. I was there for like 4 days. And then they're like, oh, we're worried about your heart. Yeah. So like I put me 2 days up on the fucking cardiac wing. My mom lost her shit. She's like, she was there with me. She's like, oh my God, like, this bodybuilding's gonna kill you. She's screaming at me. What the fuck? Like, it was just a fucking nightmare. But
and that's when you quit.
No. That was Ontario. So I came back next year. I came back the next year and did Ontario's and won. And then I went back the next year and won Canada.
You got a pro card.
Like pushing through.
So what like, I don't want to make it like a shit on bodybuilding. Why'd you stop?
To be honest, I stopped because like I've said this to other people, so it's no secret. It's just like I just wasn't seeing the benefit to keep doing it. Like I wasn't seeing the return on investment, right? Like, so I'm putting in, like, I'm sure, you know, and everyone watching knows who's competed at a high level, like this is not cheap what we're doing. And like, especially if you're being very conscientious about like getting legitimate growth, like getting pharmaceutical drugs, like not relying on this underground shit that goes around where it's like you don't, unless you're making it, even if you're making it, you're not testing your raws, so you don't know 100% what shit is. So you're just basically going on hopes and dreams, right? So I was just spending an exorbitant amount of money getting ready for the Canadas. I remember it was like fucking like astronomical because I was on like Humatrope, like legit. And I was like, you know, like this is fucking expensive. And so I was just like, I'm like, at some point I gotta grow up, man. I'm like, because like I was training people and like this and that, but like I'm sure everyone knows who trains people, who competes, like you're still in the back of the mind, in your mind, still focusing more on what you're doing, right? Like you're kind of just going through what you're going through, and that business of training people is very like peaks and valleys, right? Like we all know, like one time we're full of people, the next thing all of a sudden you lose 5 people, so it's just like wasn't this consistency, and I was like, man, I need to like get my fucking shit together. Like I was like sleeping on the floor of my mom's fucking apartment. Like I had no fucking money, man. I was and I was bouncing at fucking clubs and fighting people all the time and like bouncing at a strip club. And I was like, why am I doing this? Like, I mean, it's like it wasn't for any reason of like falling out of love with the sport or like not whatever. It's just like I'm honest with myself and everything in life. Like I wasn't going to make it to the Olympia. I wasn't going to be some top tier guy. Like I was just a big guy who had like decent shape for a big guy. But I was never going to have like these like Antoine legs or like, you know what I mean? Like I wasn't going to have this like this physique it takes to like really do well in the sport. And we all know what that physique is, right? Like it's like just there's a difference between just having muscle and being a good bodybuilder. So I didn't see it for me. Like I could keep pushing and I could do this and like, but am I really like, and my passion really turned into more like helping people, like and like getting people to move better. And like I understood like what people were doing wrong because I addressed some issues like weaknesses I had, and I just kind of went about it like my legs and stuff. I was like, man, I need to stop like doing all this stuff people are telling me it's not fucking working. Like I have to really break down like where can I push from my foot to feel my quad more? How much depth do I need to like get this? Like where does this stimulate the most? Like you know what I mean? So it's just like that became like the fun to me, as opposed to like this competing and all this shit. Like I've always loved working out, and I'm sure you're the same because you played sports. It's just like my favorite part of playing football was lifting weights.
Training. Exactly.
I fucking hated playing. Like I didn't hate it, but like I hated practicing. I fucking hated going to meetings, film study, all this stuff because I played in the States, right? And I had a scholarship at the University of Rhode Island. It's a 1AA. So we fucking stunk up the place like every year I was there except one, and like we were just horrible. But it was like you're dedicating like I just loved my favorite time of all of college was like when you got back from winter break and until spring ball. You're just fucking like eating like a house and fucking you're just training like you got 100%. Nothing else to do but fucking train. It's like you go to the dining hall and just fucking eat, like hang out with your friends. And then you get into the season and you lose all your fucking gains and you're fucking feeling like a limp noodle, like because you don't even want to lift when you're playing. I don't want to fucking go lift weights and I'm beat up from a game this week. Like
I train like 3 times a week maybe when I play.
They forced us, like we were on a schedule, right? So we had to like sign up and like we were in different groups where we'd have to like train at certain times. So we weren't accountable to do it ourselves. Like so I'm working out like 6 a.m. My body fucking hurts. I'm like, oh, like you just want to get a pump and get the fuck out of there. And then you got to go to practice later on, get beat up even fucking more. And I was just like, So I mean, like I've always loved lifting weights, and it's always been it's the one thing that got me into sports, and it's the one thing I love during sports. So with or without bodybuilding or competing, I'll always be here. Like I'll always be in the gym. And that's kind of like what I try to get across to like the people that are like following me on YouTube now or Instagram. It's like I deal with bodybuilders and stuff like that, but the whole idea of the training is to like understand that everybody, if they move more efficiently, whether it's like a housewife or some kid who just wants to have big arms, like if everyone who enjoys working out moves more efficiently, they will start to see the way like the ideal look for them will start to appear.
100%.
As opposed to like, you know, like you do barbell rows and you do fucking squats or you don't do anything. It's like, no, man, you can lift the way you choose to lift and like your body will respond. Like, stop fucking listening to this dogma of like, I don't even know how that started. I'm like, I've always wondered like where that started, where it's like they made guys and girls now even obsessed about like how much weight they do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I guess it's because it's the only metric that you can track.
It is. Yeah.
Other than your appearance, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can see I have bigger shoulders now, I have better arms now, but like,
yeah,
it's like they've made people think like, oh, now that I bench X amount, now my chest is better. It's like,
yeah.
or you're on the road to getting a better chest. It's like, no, man, like not at all. Like, if I hadn't learned how to bench properly at some point, like when I was benching, when I first started, like in college, I benched 605 for one.
Yeah.
Like bounce the fucking bar off my chest.
And
grind it out like the last 3/4 of the rep.
Yeah.
Right. And it was just like, what did I do to myself doing that?
Yeah.
It's like I was twinging my shoulder all the time, like getting little like, oh, like that felt weird. Like, just ignoring it. Cause like in football, it's even more like fucking wait.
Yeah. Exactly.
Squat up, bench up, everything up.
Yeah.
So it's just like, if I think to myself now, like if I hadn't subscribed to that for so long, and then like had it ingrained in me when I came over to bodybuilding, where it was like, I'm like, now I'm strong as fuck. I can move all this weight. It's like, if I just toned it down a bit, maybe I wouldn't have popped my pec. Maybe I wouldn't have fucking done this shit to my hip that I did. Like, but so I just gotta steer people away from that path. But it's fucking hard, man. I'm sure you see it with people you train. Like, you can't break them of it. It's really hard, man.
Yeah, it's definitely like we have very parallel, like very similar mindsets in training. Because like I know when someone says I came from football, I'm like, yeah, I get you. I completely understand what you're saying. Because I get deteriorating vertebrae, ACL's torn, this and that and the other. And like other than my ACL, everything was from like just being lifting a lot of weight, like 225, max this, max that, bad form. And then I found that affecting me when I got obviously bodybuilding again. I'm bodybuilding now that I'm not natural, I'm on juice. Now I can lift everything. It's like magnified. And then all of a sudden my back's fucked. It's like shit. Like I got to tune things down. And now it's like, I'm lifting less weight. I'm not saying less weight. I'm lifting the same amount of weight more efficiently. And now my chest is better than it was when I was just throwing weight around. Yeah. But then again, it's like, it's hard to tell someone like, hey man, this guy's lifting X amount of weight on YouTube. And it's like, well, that guy's got a big chest. He lifts 400 something pounds. What are you talking about? Larry Wheels this. I got to do this. And you're like,
yeah, but then you see the exact opposite of that. You see a guy who goes to try and hang out with Larry Wheels and bench this fucking weight and pops his fucking pec.
Yeah.
Because he's not living that life that Larry Wheels is living. Larry Wheels has conditioned his body. I'm sure he'll face injuries, or he has faced injuries.
Tons of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, he's in that, his body's like, that stress is like is not a foreign thing to him.
Yeah.
He's done that kind of heavy weight all the time, whereas like now I'm like, oh, I'm going to keep up with you, and pop, bang. Like there goes my fucking quad. There goes my, you know what I mean? So it's like, and I understand, like, because people question me all the time. Like, they're always like, yeah, I'm going a lot lighter now. It's like, it's not about going lighter, guys. It's not about, it's not about like, oh, you lifted 60-pound dumbbells. Now I do fives and I do them real smooth. Like, no, it's just like, lower the weight a bit and like try to move more efficiently and more like a more smooth of a line, like connect with what you're doing more, like slow down the pace of the lift. It's like things like that. Cause like you and me, like we came up playing sports and playing football and other people watching. It's like, we built the foundation of the house. Yeah. We got a solid ass foundation. Yeah. Like, we're ready. Like, you can start putting the pressure on and piling on work. Right. Because we have this good foundation from all this fucked up shit we did. Yeah. Where like we didn't want to do it, but like we've built this like strong foundation, so we can afford to, like, our body knows what to do. Yeah. So connecting even more to the muscle is going to create even more of a dramatic change because we have that foundation, right? Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it's like, these guys who just like, you see these guys, like they're huge, like Ian is a massive dude, like Hunter's a massive kid. And it's like, they're still going, and more power to them. If they can do it, they can do it. But like guys like them, they're still going for these like crazy fucking loads. You know what I mean? It's just like, after a while, man, like I pray to God I'm wrong, but after a while, that's going to take a toll. Like, it may not, hopefully it's not like some catastrophic thing. I would never wish that, but like, just the wear on the body. It's
probability. Like the more you like, it's like, like I said, I can't, like, doctors like, you cannot squat at all like that anymore. I'm not going to not squat, I'll do, but I don't have to, like, for me to build or sustain muscle, it does not equate to me lifting that much weight. I don't need to do 5 plate, 6 plate, any fucking thing anymore. No. Like, I don't need to do any 3 plate anything anymore, to be honest. Like, It's not necessary. Like you have to find the amount of weight that you can use that still challenges you, that you can control it, but doesn't fucking annihilate you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like that's the thing is like sometimes like it's okay, like let's like kick it up a notch on this lift or that.
Yeah.
Like, let's see what we're working with. Like let's push a little bit and then like we'll tone it down. Like just to give that stimulation, right? Like to get things to understand that the body's we're still wanting you to like recruit fiber. We're still wanting to tear stuff down. But it's just like these guys who come in every day and they think it's like PR day. Like this whole notion in bodybuilding of PRs is like that's our dangerous road, dude.
It's like the crazy thing is like you play ball, like, and I say then you play ball at the second highest level, right? Next for you is pro, right? So unless I just said this, I'm always gonna say this, unless you're training specifically for your body to perform, like literally like perform, like move, like you got to swing, hit, punch, whatever. You're just training to look good and be healthy.
Yep.
So for what you want,
exactly what I say. Yeah.
For what you want, you don't have to lift PR anything. PR is not like if you want to actually build muscle, like to build muscle, you really sacrifice with training, sacrifice with stimulus. Just do that. Yep. You don't need that. Does not equate to 3 rep max.
And I understand, like, because I've been there too, and I've had that mentality. Like some people just love to like move a weight, like they just want to move a load.
Yeah.
They get off on like that stimulus of like, I fucking deadlifted this, like I felt good. I fucking hack squatted 12 plates with my wraps on and 4 bands attached to the fucking back. Like, and that's fine. Like you can do that, but just understand that there's a finite amount of times that you're going to be able to do that. And it's going to get smaller and smaller as you get older, right? Before something bad happens.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to pick and choose those times wisely, like make sure that you're nice and warm, your energy levels or whatever it might be that puts you in that mind state, and your body will let you know.
Yeah. Because
it's like, as soon as you see a weight, and it's like a weight that's heavy, you get this little voice in your head, your little bitch voice that's like, okay. Or, you know what I mean? Like, it's like, I don't know. It's like something like you could be pumped up, but you're like, and I got that bitch voice in my head when I tore my pec, and I should have listened to it. Yeah. And I fucking ignored it because I was a moron. Like, and I was in the animal cage and they wanted me to press the 200s as like a demo. Yeah. And I had done 200s a bunch of times, like even on camera. So I was like, I'm like, okay, I hadn't done them in a while. And I'm like, so I was home in Toronto and I was like preparing myself for this because I wasn't even at that point, I wasn't doing these heavy weights anymore. Yeah. But I knew I had it in me because I've done it before, right? So I was like conditioning myself, but like it was hard to find places in Toronto with 200-pound dumbbells. Like they're not just floating around at the Good Life, right? So I was like getting up to like 150s. I was doing 160s, moving them well. So I'm like, 200 won't be that bad. Like, so I remember I flew to Vegas, literally got sick as fuck in the air, came down with a massive cold. Like my throat was sore by the time I landed. I was coughing up phlegm. Like I don't know what I caught on that flight, or it was I caught it here and it just happened on the flight. So I went right to bed when I got there. I had done 2 shots in each shoulder because I'm a fucking moron and I wanted to like juice up. I wanted to like get my shots in before the weekend because I couldn't bring my stuff with me. So I'm like jamming these fucking pins in me like it's gonna make me look better. And so like my shoulders are both inflamed because like the pressure of the plane, right? And like so then I get down, my right shoulders already had issues at that time because I had a torn labrum from football that they never told me about. Yeah. I saw it on my chart. They never told me it was torn. I saw it my senior year, right? So I'm like, so I was always dealing with the shoulder shit, like limited mobility. And then by that time, my shoulder flamed up from the shot. So I was like, anytime I even lifted up, it was like a golf ball. Like, and I'm like, and then, so I remember I was eating breakfast that morning and we were sitting with like, it was like me and G Diesel and a couple other animal guys. And they're like, you're gonna do the 200s today? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. Yeah. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, I'm going to see how I feel. I don't want to think I'm going to do that. But then like I get in there and like, there's all these fucking people around and I'm like, yeah, fucking. And like, so I warmed up, I kicked up the 150s, did them no problem. I actually felt good. And I'm like, yeah. So I'm like, do you guys have anything between the 200 lists? Like, no, that's it. You want to do them again? I'm like, well, no, I'm not fucking wasting my energy on the 150s again. It's like, I know it looked easy, but it fucking wasn't. And I'm like, So then I remember I kicked up the 400s and I mean the 200s. And I remember I was sitting with it and I was in my head, in back of my mind, there's this little voice going, this is not a good idea. This is not a good idea. And I was like, fuck it. And I'm like, I kicked it up and I dropped one. I've never dropped a weight before. I've never kicked up a weight and dropped it. And that should have been my sign of like, you're done. Do not fucking, like, your body's telling you something without you knowing. Like, drop the fucking weight. So I literally like, they're like, oh, just do it again. So I'm like, I took my belt off. I'm like, that's the reason why. Like fucking, as soon as I kicked it up, I opened up the left one and I spun out the right one. Buff. I just felt it let go and I just dropped the weight. I was like, and then this fucking powerlifter guy, because he saw me grab my pick, I'm like, fuck. And I could feel like a hole already. I was like, motherfucker. He's like, it's just cramp, stretch it out. He's like pulling my hand. Come on. No joke, pulling my arm back. Like, and I'm like, no. And he's like, it's okay, it happens to me all the time. I'm like, no, man. I'm like, this is torn. I'm like, I fucking tore my pec. He's like, no. And like, sure enough, like 20 minutes later, it's just like black and blue and like this fucking asshole like tore it even more.
Let's finish the job. Let's get it done, guys.
Like typical like fucking in that animal cage, in the animal booth, you feel like you're fucking He-Man. Like
I've seen them, man. I've been there.
You're around all these guys who are like
everyone.
Like, fuck yeah, I'm strong too. It's like, no,
people
I'm
in
not.
the cage, shaking the cage. Do it.
These guys like deadlifting, there's blood like pouring out of their nose, like what? I want to look like I'm not a pussy around these guys. I'm gonna try this.
Pop.
Yeah,
done.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. So no, it's cool because it's. I'm glad you get your channel up. So if you guys are watching, make sure you guys head over to your channel. This is Mike Van Wyck, right?
Yeah. No, it's Wicked Training.
Wicked Training. So Wicked Training, check him out on YouTube. I'll put the description here. But it's good to have like it's because people need to know like it's not necessary. And if you want to do this for a long time.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like most of us who do this sport, we're enhanced.
Yeah.
As stupid as a word that is, like we're enhanced. So it's like, you don't need to necessarily be doing so much. Like you understand, like you can kind of chill out, man. Like we want to force that growth and we want everything to like be as big as humanly possible, but at some point you have to understand, like I'm getting a little bit of assistance here. So maybe I don't need to like push myself to the brink of death. Maybe I could like pull back to 3/4 range here on that and kind of let the drugs work their magic and understand that this is a journey over time. It's not a fucking sprint to the finish. Like I see this guy, like I'm sure you see it all the fucking time or hear it and people writing you messages or whatever, and they're like, I want to go for my pro card this year. It's
I've been training for 6 months and I really want to go for it. Like
I think I've got a good chance. It's like, have you done a show? Like and that's the mentality, and I'm sure you see the difference between you and you were competing, and now like these kids who do a show, they can do one show and turn pro. Like what the fuck? Like there's no fucking level system. There's no fucking like building up to like even being able to get the chance. It's like it's just like they were giving out 7 pro cards at the show this year. Like like even when you were like that's why I was the
last class. I was the last original Mr. Canada.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. You can remember the guys who won Mr. Canada because that was a big fucking deal, because that was like the one time in Canada per year that you can get a pro card. That's it.
You know, everybody competing. Like from the years prior, one card that goes out, and when you go on stage, there's gonna be like 10 other guys that are like, I want that one pro card and we might give another one out to someone else. And that's it. Like it's
like even the show that's this weekend in Toronto. Like I don't know what they're giving. I don't know what's going on there.
20 some pro card. It's like here's the thing too. Here on the like I'm in the middle. I'm not really in the middle. I'm more on the side of like give the pro cards to people that deserve it. But give the pro cards to people that deserve it. Like there's some guys that are still like Hassan Jama just got his pro card. He had to go.
He's been competing forever.
He's been competing since like over a decade, over 15 years. And he had to get his pro card overseas for fuck's sakes. You know what I mean? Like we were helped. I always
wondered what it was with him, because the kid's got such a great physique, and I was always like,
it's the fact that he's going for one card a year, and there's other guys that like you can't tell me every year. Like to be honest though, I think that the cards they give out now they could afford to give out then.
No, well, that's the thing. Is like these guys who are turning pro nowadays, even like it's just so watered down with all these divisions and like all these different like bikini and all. Like I don't understand what the qualifications for. Like there's like very strict, and like everyone knows what a pro bodybuilder looks like. If you see 3 guys lined up, the guy who like your eye goes to, and that lineup is like that's the best guy. And like bikini, I don't know what I'm looking at. And like in these other and like classic and stuff, yeah, I can see what I'm looking at. I understand that, but like men's physique and like this, like I don't. It's just like I don't. Is it just like arbitrary? Like, oh, you like that guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I'm not trying to water it down, but like to be honest, like, okay, so I'm a judge. I got my judging qualification and stuff, whatever. So I'm qualified judge. Like, yeah, when you bodybuilding is straightforward. It's very straightforward. It's still opinion, but like as outside of that, and like other very obvious bodybuilding classes, it's literally like opinion.
Yeah,
it's like there's okay, symmetry and like presentation.
Yeah,
that's like I said, like that's an opinion. Like your presentation, this one's better than this one. What is the parameters? Well, the way she walks. Is there a certain way she's supposed to walk? Well, I'm like, I had one girl that I coached that she got judged, and she was judging her bikini back pose was too offensive. And I'm like,
cocking your hips too much.
I don't care. You're wearing bikinis and high heels. What are you offensive? You're only offensive. You get we're on the wrong freaking show. And I'm like, offensive. That sounds like an opinion. Like offensive, like when you score a point, you're like, I'm offended. I don't really like that point. Let's take that point away. That basket doesn't count because it offended me. I'm like, it offends you, like what I'm saying. But that's how the show is. It was created so you can have more, more classes, more money. Like
I understand it from a business side. Like I understand like getting all these pros and like having more people competing at pro shows, like drawing more of an audience. It's giving people like this thing to aspire to that isn't such like a far-reaching thing to go for.
Yeah,
but it's like and the funny it should be for sure. But it's like it's the funniest thing to me. Like my favorite thing, one of my two favorite things to watch in all of like physique sports is like bikini girls. Their walk is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. Like it's like this contorted like foot over foot over foot over foot, and it's like these little like shoulder shrugs and it's a mix.
It's extreme pageantry,
like, but it's like so unnatural. Everything they're doing is the most unnatural thing, right? And it's like the same with like men's physique, like this like huge like you know what I mean, like how they're like they almost look like they're floating, like they're like Matrix. It's crazy, man. It's like they're shifting in midair and like turning it's like there's an art to it. Like I give them credit, but it's just like I don't understand like what I'm looking at half the time. Like because like to be honest, all the guys in the board shorts who are doing that category, it's like you guys all like look pretty good, man. Like y'all got it. You wouldn't do that if you were like some blocky dude. Like you all have like this tiny waist, wide ass shoulders, like a lot of round muscle. Like it's like I don't even know how the fuck
it's a pin. Like when I like honestly, like I watch, like I judge a show and I have athletes in all the classes, so I gotta watch the entire show, like the entire show, and like I know what I'm looking at because I've seen shows, but I'm like, this is opinion. Like they all like all of them look like, especially the higher level, they all look amazing. Like, you got a kid like the top 5 bikini Olympian. It's like any one of them could have been first place to me. Like that's what I mean. Like
that's why it comes down to like these fucking this like who's part of the club and like who's nudging the fucking judges, like who's cool with the NPC, who's cool with IFBB.
There's definitely some level of that 100%. Like
100%. It's like you said, the bikini girls in the top 5 at the Olympia, like if you told me this person won and that person won, I'd be like, okay, like you could tell me each one of them came first and be like, that one's second. I'm like, yeah,
give them all the fucking first place.
Just have it be like one big potluck prize. Like we're all the best.
If you made top 5, you should all.
Yeah, it's like
right. Like if you like, put this way, like you have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
What hair color your girlfriend?
Blonde.
Okay, so if you watch a bikini competition, where are your eyes gonna go to?
Obviously, what you like, right?
Exactly.
Or what you're more inclined to.
Exactly.
So like, that's what I mean. The judges, like, obviously, there's going to be certain people who like they walk out and they catch your eye immediately. Like you're drawn to their physique or drawn to the way they present themselves. Yeah. Like, but and that's what I understand. Like I understand there's going to be someone that jumps out as a judge and you're like, that's number 1. But then how do you decide 2, 3, 4, and 5? It's just like, I don't know, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, the closest one and number 1.
It's like
and they all have black. The top 5 all look like literally like they're a family.
Yeah,
like they were like, it was like almost like first place was like first, second place was like first cousins, and then the further away you got the distant relatives. But they all looked like you give them all. Well, you're all winners than me. Trust me. Like that's what, and that's all classes like that except for bodybuilding. And then I mean, yeah. bodybuilding and classic.
Hold up that right hand again. Is that a football finger?
Of course it is. You know that.
Yeah.
You got one?
No.
You got one?
I got like fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, my knuckles are all fucked up.
You know what's funny? When
like
I was
my hand doesn't bend properly. Like it's all
of course
janky.
Yeah. When I was coaching, I was coaching posing, and as my competitors kept on doing this.
Yeah,
and I'm like, yo, my fingers broke. It's like,
that's they're paying attention.
I swear to God. Yes, like I'm glad. Of course, is that like people are like, oh, hold your finger broke. I'm like, this doesn't work. It's
yeah. My buddy had the same thing. He had the ring finger that was like that, like it was stuck.
Go on, watch the NFL Network. Just look at the the panel with their hands are.
Yeah.
They're all like this. It's like, like this, and they're doing analysts and the hands look like they're like this shit. Exactly. Is like, right?
It's fucking crazy. My fingers are like fucked from football. Like,
yeah.
And I had these fingers like taped together.
Of course.
See how they like fit together.
Yeah,
Here? I had them taped together for like 3 years when I played. So I played like that, right? Because I'd always jam. This finger's broken. Of course. It's like they would always jam. So I'm like, I don't want it to be on its own and jam again. I'll make it like stronger. Yeah. So I was like playing like this. And they molded together.
What high school did you go to?
I went to I started playing football at Malvern, which is like a school in the East End, and then I ended up at Central Tech, which is like downtown Toronto.
Yeah. I remember Central Tech.
But a lot of my film and like my actual like a lot of playing came from like club ball, like Scarborough Thunder.
You play your Scarborough Thunder?
Yeah,
motherfuckers.
So I played for Scarborough Thunder.
You guys are pieces of shit.
Yeah, everyone says that. I don't understand.
Well, how old are you? How old are you?
I'll be 42 in 5 days.
Oh shit! We play the same. Nick Wishart.
That sounds very familiar.
Yeah, who else was that? I played for Ravens.
Oh, really?
OJ Atogwe and.
No, I know that name.
Yeah,
but I don't.
Yeah,
I played with like Sebastian Clovis.
Yeah, I know Clovis. Yeah,
and I played with Naughton. And, OJ Tassie.
Yeah,
Dwayne Mundell. A lot of guys like that. Those guys all went to like.
You did all the Ron Dice. You did all the Ron Dice camps and shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ron Diaz, a fucking crook. He screwed me out of a scholarship at Miami of Ohio.
Wait, huh?
I found out years later from a coach there that they wanted to bring me on because my buddy Matt Brandt played for Miami of Ohio when Ben Roethlisberger was there.
Yeah.
And I was trying to I hated where I was at Rhode Island because they moved me from linebacker to D end, and I was so fucking mad about it. But that was the plan all along. But I was like, so I was like calling around. I'm like, yeah, I want to fucking leave. And they're like, well, we were going to offer you here, but that Ron Diaz guy called them and was like, if you sign my guy, I want like something like $5,000 or $10,000.
Yeah.
And they're like, get the fuck out of here, dude. Who are you? He's like, well, you owe me because whatever. And they're like, we just completely forgot about you because of him. I was like, wow, thanks, dude. Wow. It all worked out. But
the closest thing to mine, like, man, you probably remember Brett Romberg then.
What's his name?
Brett Romberg. He didn't play club ball. I played OVFL and then I played Fratman.
No, I don't think I know. Maybe just see his face.
Yeah.
The name doesn't sound familiar.
But I remember all the Scarborough Thunder, Mississauga Warriors.
Yeah. Even the year that there was a teacher strike in Toronto.
Yeah.
And there was no football.
Yeah.
But for some reason Lawrence Park put on they had a team. So like all the best players from Toronto went to this rep team for Lawrence Park, and the Wildcats were everywhere. So it was like this mix up of like all the best Toronto guys, like an all-star team playing.
Not fair.
It was fun. Yeah, I don't think we won though. I think we got beat in the final by somebody, Nelson or somebody. Played like some school outside Toronto. Yeah, that was fun. Those were the days.
I remember all that. I remember OVFL and I did the OVFL thing and then I blew it. But I lost. I lost every scholarship I had gone.
Why?
All of them. My SAT score wasn't high enough for my OACs because my OACs were basically like, I think I had a 52 when I graduated. Like I was in court. I was kicked out of school. I was like, my grades, it was just lost them all. And I didn't pass a clearinghouse twice. I couldn't get past the clearinghouse twice. That was it. So I played junior ball to try and upgrade. And then I upgraded. Then I got screwed over by a coach because I was supposed to go to St. FX like 2 years after I played junior ball. And the coach fucked me over. So I ended up playing 2 more years in London, Ontario, and for London Beefeaters. And then from there, I ran out and ran to Whistler, BC.
What position did you play?
Running back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
You look like a running back.
Yeah.
I was gonna guess running back, or I was gonna guess like safety.
I was a running back full. Yeah. And then I found I called Ron Dias when I was in Whistler. So I was in Whistler snowboarding. And then I'm like, I need to get back to school. I need to get in school because I was like, I'm failing at this point. Like, fuck this. So I messaged Ron Dyson, like, yeah, there's a camp out, whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, there's a camp in Coquitlam. I'll do that camp. I called Western Washington because they're still recruiting. They remembered who I was. And then UBC got down to camp. One of the guys didn't even show up. The other guy didn't even know who I was. And the only coach who recognized me was Steve Samara from St. Mary's University, because Blake and Noah recruited me out of high school. I couldn't get in out of high school to St. fucking Mary's. So when I was in Whistler, I was like, you know what? If I can get into school, I'll go to school. He's like, cool. So I got a scholarship at St. Mary's, ended up being all the way out in Nova Scotia. And that's why I'm Nova Scotia. Yeah.
That's not bad though.
Yeah. So I'm from Windsor.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'm from Windsor, Food West Town. I play for Holy Names. You probably remember Herman. Our city was sick. We hated you guys. Hated. People from Windsor hated Toronto. Hated.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, much Jafakins and it just bugged me, man.
Yeah. I remember when we it's funny because like Sebastian, when we played together, he was running back, obviously, and I think he played safety too or something like that. He was like going both ways, but he was like, I was talking because I saw him on the Home and Garden TV because he's got that show. Have you seen it?
No.
He's got a show on TV.
Oh, no, wait, seriously?
I swear to God, it's a home renovation show, and he's the star. I swear to God. I swear to God. Google it. Google his name and then Home and Garden TV, and he does like a do-it-yourself like renovation show. It's crazy.
Good for him.
But like, I came on one day and I was like, holy fuck! I'm like, I was with my girlfriend. I'm like, I know that guy. And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, because like the way he is now, like obviously we're all different when younger, but when we were younger, that dude would like come on he would show up to practice like fatigued out, like camo head to toe, and like the hardest kid you ever saw, like just fucking mean mugging everybody, like just like what the fuck's wrong with this dude, right? Like, and he was quiet, and he was just like, and now to see him on TV, like he's such a personable guy. He's like so like, I mean, he's such a good guy, but it's just like back then he was just like like
that's awesome,
like the toughest guy you ever met, like
yeah.
Me and my buddy OJ were always like laughing at him because he was just like take it easy, man. Like we're just playing football.
He played at St. Mary's.
Yeah.
He got there before I did. By the time I got there, he was gone. And then he played.
He was a crazy athlete, man. He was really good.
We recruit everybody to say anyone who couldn't get into school.
Yeah.
Went to St.
I think I even spoke to someone out there at one point.
If you weren't doing good, if you were doing good, we were one of the best schools in the country, like always. Up until like literally 11 years ago, we were the sickest team, one of the best teams forever. It will be like St. Mary's and someone else. We 2 Vanier Cups and stuff. We won the Vanier Cup like 4 times. Yada. And then but you went to the American route though. So
I was like, so I was unhappy there, and I was like, I was just, man, I'll get the fuck out of here, and just pissed off about where I was playing and all this stuff. And I remember I talked to my buddy OJ Tassie, who played Scarborough Thunder with me at Central Tech, and I was like, he was at Laurier. Yeah. And I was like, man, you think I can get there and they could like give me some money, like get me like at least some type of take care of me a bit. And he's like, I remember he talked to one of the coaches, and one of the coaches called me. He's like, I'll see what I can do for you if we get you here.
This is Canada, buddy.
And I'm like, and he's like, the thing is, you just got to get here and then we can work. I'm like, no. No.
That's
like, I think I'll just suck it up and stay where I'm at. Free is really good.
Yeah.
Free is really good.
That's funny. Well, man, it's been good, man. It's cool to kind of get to know who you are actually behind all the training and killing people in the gym. I'm sure the viewers that saw the video I did, I'll put that link in there too. The video I did legs with Mike. Goddamn, I was probably the stupidest thing I've ever done, to be honest, because I'm like, I haven't trained. Like, I'm at the end of my prep, I got sick. I was even training after that. Then I'm like, as soon as I started feeling better, I'm like one of those guys, like, I'm football, like, I feel good, I need to train, I want to train. And you were my first leg day.
Oh yeah.
After prep.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I got nothing. Like, I'm like, My legs, I was walking, like I was saying on Toronto, I was walking, like walking down a stair. Like my quads, my hands, I was like, what, you idiot. I was hitting the ibuprofen.
Oh God.
So it was good, man. It was good. I'll be down this weekend. So
all right. Yeah, I'll be at the show, so I'll probably see you.
Yeah, cool.
I'll be hiding in a corner somewhere, but I'll be around.
I saw you got pictures and stuff, and like get a signed picture and all that good stuff.
No. I don't.
You're famous, man. You're muscle of fitness, man. You're coach.
Right.
You say, man.
HD.
You see.
HD
good.
muscle.
HD muscle, man. So you guys can find Mike Wyck on Instagram, Mike Van Wyck. Wicked, what's it? Wicked coaching, right? Wicked training. Wicked training. Yeah. Wicked training. We support everybody here, guys. Iron sharpens iron. Also, guys, I was a Pure Muscle Fitness. If you guys are at the Toronto Pro this weekend, I'm sure you guys got a booth. Pure Muscle Fitness has a booth there as well, too. Right?
Yeah. Come by. I'll be there.
We'll be there. Anyway, guys, thanks. Thank you guys for tuning in. Until next time, guys. Iron sharpens iron, progressive overload your life. In the meantime, keep dream chasing. Peace.
See ya.
And yeah, that's it, man.